Welcome back, dark hearts, and the misunderstood. You're safe here, and you deserve rest too. Let go of your worries, troubles, and pain. You're safe in my shadow. I'll take care of you. We'll be exploring another immersive and cozy story, but instead of being the hero, we'll be exploring the villain, the anti-hero, or the morally grey. Tonight, you will be in the shoes of a wandering shadow market merchant, someone who trades in the delicate space between blessing and curse, between memory and forgetting, between what people want and what they truly need. The afternoon light is beginning to slant golden through the ordinary world, which means it's nearly time. You can feel it in the way shadows grow longer, deeper, more substantial. You can sense it in the cooling air, in the way sounds seem to soften and distance themselves. The veil between the waking world and the shadow market grows thin as dusk approaches, and you have preparations to make. Your cart sits in the narrow alley where you left it this morning, looking entirely unremarkable to anyone who might pass by. It appears to be nothing more than a worn wooden vendor's cart, the kind that might sell roasted nuts or cheap trinkets in the daylight markets. The wood is weathered grey, and the canvas covering is patched in several places. To the uninitiated, it's hardly worth a second glance, but you know better. You've always known better. You approach slowly, letting your fingers trail along the side panel. The wood is warm beneath your touch, humming with barely perceptible energy. 3 knocks in a specific rhythm. 1, pause. 2, quick. And you feel the wards recognize you. The cart seems to sigh, settling slightly on its wheels, welcoming you back. These small rituals matter. In your line of work, everything is ritual, everything is intention, everything carries weight beyond its immediate appearance. The canvas covering pulls back at your touch, and you begin the familiar process of taking inventory. Inside the cart, far deeper than its external dimensions should allow, your wares rest in careful arrangement. Each item sits in its designated spot, wrapped in cloth that ranges from simple burlap to silk so fine it's nearly transparent. The more dangerous the item, the more layers of protection it requires. Not to protect the world from the item necessarily, but to protect the item from the world until it finds its proper owner. You lift out the first bundle, feeling its weight in your hands. It's a music box, though you haven't wound it in 3 years. It plays a lullaby that makes the listener forget their first love, completely and entirely, as if that person never existed in their heart at all. For some, this would be a curse. For others, specifically those running from stalkers or trying to escape the grip of someone toxic, it could be salvation. You've been carrying it for months now, waiting for the right customer. The wrong person purchasing this could damage their soul irreparably. The right person could reclaim their life. You set it aside in the section of your display you've mentally designated for tonight. The shadow market you're heading to tends to attract those nursing heartbreak. It's one of the smaller markets, tucked away in the reflection of an abandoned train station, accessible only to those who know to look at the puddles rather than the platform. Intimate, slightly melancholy, exactly the kind of place where someone might be ready to let go of a love that's turned to poison. Next, you unwrap a set of 3 keys on a tarnished silver ring. Each key opens a different door in the holder's home, but each door leads somewhere different than where it should. The first key makes the bedroom door open onto a summer meadow at dawn. The second makes the kitchen door lead to a quiet library that exists nowhere in the waking world. The third makes the bathroom door open onto a beach at sunset, waves gentle, the air forever warm. It's not a curse exactly, but it's not entirely a blessing either. The holder will find themselves increasingly reluctant to leave their home, increasingly enchanted by these impossible spaces, potentially withdrawing from the world altogether. But for someone trapped in a dangerous situation, someone who needs sanctuary they can't otherwise access, it could be everything. You consider these keys carefully, turning them over in your palm. They're beautiful in their way, catching light that isn't quite there. You'll bring them tonight, but you'll be cautious about who sees them. These require the right kind of desperation, the right kind of need. The afternoon continues to fade as you work, pulling item after item from the cart's depths. A pocket watch that adds an hour to each day, but steals it from your future, shortening your life 1 hour at a time. A perfume that makes you unforgettable to anyone who smells it, but means you can never truly disappear, never truly be anonymous again. A set of dice that always roll in your favor, but gradually turn all your relationships into competitions, into games you feel compelled to win. A teacup that makes every beverage taste like the best thing you've ever drunk, but slowly numbs you to all other pleasures until only drinking matters. These are your wares. Each one carries its own particular weight, its own balance of gift and price. You don't deal in pure evil. Those markets exist darker and deeper than where you tread, and you've deliberately kept yourself distant from them. Nor do you deal in pure good. The blessed markets, the holy trades, those have their own merchants, and they've never had much use for someone like you. You exist in the liminal space, in the grey twilight, offering things that are complicated, nuanced, double-edged. Some might call you predatory. You prefer to think of yourself as honest. You never lie about what you're selling. You never hide the costs. Unlike the daylight merchants with their hidden fees and fine print, you lay everything bare. This will help you, and this is what it will cost. The choice is always, always theirs. Your fingers brush against something cold and smooth, and you draw out a mirror the size of your palm. The glass is dark, almost black, and the silver frame is worked with tiny thorns. This is one of your strangest pieces, one you've carried for nearly a year. The mirror shows the viewer the person they could have been if they'd made different choices at one crucial moment in their past. It shows them the road not taken, the life they didn't live. For some, this brings peace, confirmation that they chose correctly. For others, it brings unbearable regret. You've never been entirely certain whether this object is mercy or cruelty. Perhaps it's both. Perhaps it's neither. Perhaps it simply is, and the meaning depends entirely on who's looking. You wrap it back up carefully and set it in your maybe pile. You're not sure about this one tonight. The energy feels wrong for it. Better to wait. The sun is lower now, painting the alley in shades of amber and purple. Ordinary people are heading home from work, thinking about dinner, about their evening plans, about the comfortable routines of their lives. They walk past your alley without seeing it, without seeing you. The wards see to that. You're not quite invisible, but you're beneath notice. A detail the eye slides past without catching. You begin loading your chosen items into the cart's upper display area, arranging them with care. Presentation matters in your trade. Each item needs space to breathe, space to catch the eye, space to whisper its possibilities to those who pass by. The music box goes on the left, slightly forward. The keys hang from a small hook at eye level, a compass that points toward your heart's desire, but never tells you what that desire costs to pursue, sits on a small velvet cushion. A book that writes down every lie you tell, keeping perfect record, useful for those trying to hold themselves accountable, dangerous for those whose lives depend on deception. Everything must be arranged just so. The aesthetics matter almost as much as the objects themselves. People come to shadow markets for many reasons, but one of them is always the atmosphere, the sense of stepping into something otherworldly, something that operates by different rules than the daylight world. Your stall needs to promise mystery, possibility, transformation. It needs to look like a place where impossible things are merely improbable, where the boundaries of reality soften and bend. You pull out your pricing cards next, small rectangles of heavy cardstock that you've written on in silver ink. You don't use money exactly. Some of your prices are in coin, yes, but others are more esoteric. One genuine apology you've been withholding. 3 hours of volunteer work at a place that frightens you. A secret you've never told anyone. The name of someone you've wronged. The prices need to match the items, need to carry appropriate weight. Transformation isn't free, and it shouldn't be. People don't value what comes too easily. For the music box, you've priced it at a letter of forgiveness, written but never sent. For the keys, 7 days of sobriety from your vice of choice. The prices aren't punitive, they're purifying. They're asking the customer to demonstrate they're ready for what they're purchasing, that they understand the gravity of it. As you work, you hum softly to yourself, an old tune you learned from another merchant years ago, before you fully understood what you were becoming. She was kind to you, that old woman, kinder than she needed to be. She taught you the important things, how to recognize cursed objects, how to cleanse items that had grown too heavy with dark intention, how to negotiate with things that weren't quite human, how to keep yourself safe in the spaces between. You wonder sometimes where she is now, whether she's still trading or whether she finally took her retirement, settling in one of those pocket dimensions some of the older merchants create for themselves. A cottage that exists only on Tuesday afternoons, or a shop that's only accessible during the 3 minutes after midnight. She'd earned that kind of rest, centuries of careful trading, of walking the line between helpful and harmful. That takes its toll. You're not nearly old enough for that yet, but you can feel the weight beginning to accumulate. Every trade leaves its mark, adds its small burden to your soul, but not tonight. Tonight you feel relatively light, relatively clear. You've been careful lately, turning away customers whose intentions troubled you, refusing trades that felt too dark, too desperate. You've eaten losses, kept items you should have sold, all in service of keeping your conscience clean enough to sleep at night. It's a balancing act. Your whole life is a balancing act, but you've gotten good at it. The cart is nearly ready now. You've arranged your display, set your prices, prepared your small rituals of greeting and negotiation. All that remains is the journey itself, the crossing over from this world to that one, from daylight reality to shadow market. You reach into your coat pocket and withdraw a small compass. But this one isn't for sale. This is yours personal, one of the few magical items you keep for your own use. Instead of pointing north, it points toward the nearest shadow market. The needle spins lazily, then settles, pointing down and slightly to the left. That will be the puddle then, the reflection route. Good. You've always liked that particular crossing. It's gentle as these things go, and it doesn't leave you feeling sick or disoriented the way some of the mirror routes do. You pull the canvas back over your cart, securing it loosely. To anyone watching, though no one is, you would appear to be just another street vendor, finishing up for the day, perhaps heading home or to a storage unit. You begin pushing the cart toward the end of the alley, where you know there's a large puddle that hasn't dried despite 3 days without rain. That's always a good sign. A permanent puddle. It means the boundary is thin there, worn by repeated crossings. The wheels of your cart rattle over uneven pavement, a familiar sound, almost musical in its rhythm. You've pushed this cart through 1,000 different streets, across 100 different thresholds. You've set up shop in markets that exist in the spaces between subway trains, in the reflections of carnival mirrors, in the shadows cast by moonlight on specific nights of the year. Each market has its own character, its own clientele, its own particular rules and dangers. Tonight's market is one of the safer ones, relatively speaking. It exists in the ghost of a train station that burned down 60 years ago, accessible through reflections in standing water. The market manifests every evening at dusk and lasts until the first light of dawn. It attracts a gentle sort of desperado, the heartbroken, the lost, those seeking small magics to ease small pains. You're unlikely to encounter anything truly dangerous there, unlikely to have to refuse anyone on grounds of darkness or malice. The puddle comes into view, larger than it should be, its surface perfectly still despite the evening breeze. You can already see that it reflects something other than the sky above. Instead of clouds and dimming blue, the water shows the vaulted ceiling of the old train station, complete with its ornate ironwork and smoke-stained tiles. The crossing is ready for you. You pause at the edge, taking a moment to center yourself. Crossing over always requires intention, focus. You can't stumble into these places accidentally. You have to mean it, have to want it. You close your eyes briefly, breathing in the cooling air of the ordinary world, then breathing out your intention. I am going to the shadow market. I am crossing the threshold. I am walking between. When you open your eyes, you push your cart forward into the puddle. The wheels break the surface with barely a splash, and then you're stepping in after, and the world folds around you like a curtain, and for just a moment, everything is water and reflection, and the strange pressure of moving through a space that isn't quite space, and then you're through. The train station stretches before you, vast and echoing and impossible. The ceiling arches high overhead, held up by iron pillars that twist with decorative vines. Gas lamps burn along the walls, even though the station burned before gas lamps were replaced with electric ones, casting everything in warm, slightly flickering amber light. The floor is polished marble, veined with gold, and your cartwheels make a pleasant clicking sound as you push it forward. Other merchants are already here, already setting up their stalls along the old platforms. You recognize several of them and offer nods of greeting. There's the flower seller who trades in blooms that each carry a specific emotion. Hold a red rose and feel confidence, a white lily for serenity, a black orchid for elegant sorrow. There's the book merchant whose volumes write themselves based on the reader's subconscious, telling each person exactly the story they need to hear. There's the tea seller whose brews can temporarily grant specific skills, the ability to see in the dark, to understand any language, to feel no physical pain for exactly 4 hours. You've traded with most of them at various points, exchanging items when you acquired something more in their purview than yours, borrowing protective charms when you needed to visit rougher markets, sharing information about dangerous customers or suspicious magical signatures. There's a community here, loose and careful, but real. You look after each other in your way. The shadow markets can be dangerous, and solidarity among merchants is a form of protection. You wheel your cart toward your usual spot, a section of platform 3 that has a particularly beautiful view of the main hall. Position matters in these markets. You want to be visible but not too prominent, accessible but not in the way. Your spot is near enough to the main flow of traffic that customers will pass by naturally, but set back enough that people feel they can pause and browse without feeling pressured. The platform is cool beneath your feet as you begin setting up. You pull the canvas fully back, revealing your wares to the strange light of the station. Everything looks slightly different here, more vivid, more significant. The music box gleams like it's been freshly polished. The keys seem to whisper promises. Even the simpler items, a pen that makes every signature legally binding beyond normal contracts, a scarf that makes you confident in any social situation, seem to shimmer with potential. You arrange items on your display shelves, which extend from the cart in ways that definitely don't match its physical structure. But that's fine. Everything works a bit differently here. Space is negotiable. Reality is flexible. You're working in a train station that burned down before you were born, in a space that exists only in reflection, selling objects that are impossible by daylight logic. A cart that's bigger on the inside is hardly remarkable. The setup takes time, but you don't rush it. Each item needs to be placed thoughtfully, angled to catch the light properly, positioned to draw the eye. You set out your pricing cards, adjusting them so they're clearly visible but not aggressive. Everything about your stall should invite curiosity while also communicating seriousness. This isn't a place for casual browsing, for impulse purchases. Everything here carries weight, consequence, transformation. As you work, you notice the market filling in around you. More merchants arrive through various methods. One steps out of a mirror that stands alone in the middle of the platform. Another emerges from a door that wasn't there a moment ago. A third seems to condense out of the shadows themselves. Each brings their particular wares, their specific impossibilities. The customers begin arriving as well, trickling in as the connection between worlds strengthens with the deepening dusk. They come from the ordinary world, seeking something they can't find in daylight hours, carrying needs that normal merchants can't fulfill. You watch them emerge from puddles, from shadows, from the spaces between the pillars, each one looking slightly disoriented, slightly awed, slightly frightened. First-time visitors always look that way. The shadow markets are beautiful, but beauty here always carries an edge of danger. A young woman materializes near platform 2, steadying herself against a pillar as she gets her bearings. She's dressed in office clothes, slightly rumpled, and she's carrying herself with the particular exhaustion of someone who's been pushed too far for too long. Heartbreak, you think, watching her scan the market with wide eyes. Or maybe loneliness. Something about the way she's holding herself, arms wrapped around her middle, suggests she's trying to hold herself together. She'll make her way to you eventually, or she won't. You never push, never call out to customers. The right people always find what they need, and the wrong people are better off passing by. That's one of the fundamental truths of shadow markets. The objects and customers find each other. Your role is simply to be present, to offer what you have, to facilitate the exchanges that are meant to happen. You finish your setup and step back, surveying your stall with a critical eye. Everything is in place, balanced, ready. The music box sits in its place of prominence, almost glowing in the gaslight. The keys dangle at precisely the right height. Your stranger items, a deck of cards that deals only in truths, a coin that always lands in your favor but steals luck from someone else randomly, a photograph that shows what you looked like in a past life, are arranged in the back, visible to those who look carefully but not immediately obvious. Satisfied, you settle onto the small stool you keep tucked beneath your cart. Now comes the part of the evening that requires patience, stillness, presence. Now you wait, and you watch, and you let the market do what markets do. Bring together need and fulfillment, desire and consequence, question and answer. The station echoes with soft sounds, footsteps on marble, murmured conversations between merchants, the distant sound of a train that will never arrive, whistle echoing through impossible space. Music drifts from somewhere, a street performer who exists only here, playing an accordion that seems to pull melancholy straight from the air and transform it into melody. The light flickers and holds, warm and steady. The evening is beginning. Your work is beginning, and you settle into that familiar state of relaxed attention, ready for whatever exchanges the night will bring, ready to be the bridge between wanting and having, between who someone is and who they could become, for better or worse, for blessing or curse, for all the complicated spaces in between. The first customer approaches, and you offer them a gentle smile. "Good evening," you say softly. "Welcome. Please take your time. Everything here has a story, and perhaps one of these stories is meant to be yours." And the night unfolds from there, gentle and strange and full of possibility. The first customer is an older man with careful hands and tired eyes. He moves through your display slowly, considerately, picking up items gently and setting them down with care. You watch him without staring, present but not hovering. He lingers over the deck of cards that deals only truths, turning the box over in his weathered hands. "It won't let you lie," you say quietly, when he seems to be considering it seriously. Not even small lies, not even kind ones. Every game becomes confession. Every question demands honesty. Some find it liberating. Others find it destroys their relationships within weeks. He nods slowly, processing this. "I've been lying to my daughter," he says finally, his voice barely above a whisper, "about being sick, about how bad it is. She's got enough to worry about with her own family." You wait, letting him work through his thoughts. "But I'm tired of pretending," he continues. "Tired of performing health I don't have. Maybe if I couldn't lie anymore." He trails off, looking at the cards with something like hope. something like fear. The price is written there. You gesture to the small card beside the deck. 3 truths you've been avoiding, spoken aloud before you leave this market. He reads the card, then nods. That seems fair. He sets the deck down and closes his eyes, gathering himself. I'm dying faster than I told her. I'm afraid of what comes after. And I don't think I was a very good father. But I don't know how to say that to her now. The words fall into the space between you, like stones into water, creating ripples you can almost see. This is the moment of exchange, of transformation. The price has been paid in vulnerability, in admission, in the kind of truth that costs something to speak. You wrap the cards carefully in silver cloth and hand them to him. Use them wisely, you say gently. Truth is a gift and a weapon. Try to remember which one you're wielding. He takes the package with trembling hands, nods to you, and disappears back into the flow of the market. You watch him go, wondering what truths he'll tell his daughter, hoping they'll bring them closer rather than drive them apart. But that's out of your hands now. You've facilitated the exchange. The outcome belongs to him. The market continues to fill as full dark falls in the world above. The space between the worlds strengthens, becomes more solid, more real. The train station almost thrums with it, with presence and possibility. You can feel it in your bones, this thickening of reality, this moment when the shadow market is most itself. A teenage girl stops at your stall next, all dark eyeliner and defensive posture. She's trying to look dangerous, but you can see the fear underneath, the hurt. Her eyes land immediately on the scarf that grants confidence, and you can see the hunger in her gaze. She wants it badly, but she's also afraid to ask, afraid you'll judge her for needing such a thing. It helps, you say conversationally, not looking directly at her. For job interviews, difficult conversations, first dates, anywhere you need to feel more certain than you are. It doesn't change who you are, just lets you access the confidence you already have but can't quite reach. What's the catch? Her voice is sharp, expecting exploitation. The catch is here. You point to the price card. 7 genuine compliments given to 7 different people, spoken before you leave the market. She blinks. That's it. That's it. It's harder than you think when you really mean them. But the scarf works by connecting you to your own strength. Hard to feel genuinely confident if you can't see genuine worth in others. She chews her lip, considering. You can see her running calculations, trying to find the trap. But there isn't one, not really. The price is the price. Step outside herself 7 times, see other people clearly enough to compliment them truthfully. It's more challenging than most would guess. Okay, she says finally. Okay, I'll do it. You watch as she moves through the market, stopping at various stalls. You can't hear what she's saying, but you can see the merchants' reactions. Surprise, pleasure, small smiles. She's doing it, actually doing it, finding genuine things to praise about strangers and their wares. When she returns, there's something different in her posture, something slightly softer, slightly more open. You hand her the scarf, wrapped in tissue paper the color of twilight. Wear it when you need it, you tell her. But try, sometimes, to remember what you just did. How you found those compliments. That's confidence too. The ability to see clearly and speak kindly. She nods, clutching the package like a treasure, and disappears into the crowd. Another exchange completed. Another small transformation set in motion. You'll never know how it turns out for her, whether the scarf helps her find her footing or becomes a crutch she can't set down. That uncertainty is part of the work, part of what you've learned to carry. The evening settles into rhythm. Customers come and go, each with their needs, their hurts, their desires. You facilitate exchange after exchange, always careful, always attentive to the balance of things. A man buys the compass that points toward heart's desire, paying the price of giving up one comfortable lie he tells himself. A woman trades for a journal that records only happy memories, agreeing to spend 1 hour per week volunteering with the elderly. A non-binary person in their 20s purchases a key that opens doors to quiet spaces, paying in the form of 3 phone calls to family members they've been avoiding. Each transaction carries its weight, its particular moral complexity. You're not giving them easy answers or simple solutions. You're giving them tools that will change them for better or worse, and asking them to pay prices that acknowledge the gravity of that change. It's honest work in its way. More honest than half of what happens in the daylight markets, where people are sold lies dressed as necessities, where desire is manufactured and exploited. Between customers, you observe the market itself, letting yourself sink into its peculiar atmosphere. The accordion player moves closer, and their music wraps around your stall like smoke, melancholy but not sad, contemplative but not heavy. Other merchants call greetings to you, brief check-ins. How's the night treating you? Moved that music box yet? Watch out for the person in the green coat. Tried to steal from Miriam earlier. You file away the information, keeping an eye out for green coats. Theft in shadow markets carries consequences beyond normal law, but it's still best to be cautious. The protections built into this space would prevent the actual taking of goods, but attempted theft can disrupt the delicate balance of the place, can sour the energy for everyone. As the night deepens, you notice the young woman you spotted earlier, the one in rumpled office clothes, working up her courage to approach your stall. She circles back 3 times, getting closer each time, before finally stopping in front of your display. Her eyes move over your wares with desperate attention, looking for something, though you suspect she doesn't quite know what. "May I help you find something?" you ask gently. "I don't know," she admits. I feel like I need something, like there's supposed to be something here for me." Does that sound stupid? Not at all. That feeling brought you here, to this market specifically. Trust it. What does your life need right now? She laughs, but it's bitter. A reset button, a way to forget the last 3 years. She stops, swallowing hard. He wasn't who I thought he was, and I can't stop thinking about him, can't stop replaying it all, trying to figure out where I missed the signs. Your eyes flick to the music box, and you feel a small, certain pull. This is why you brought it tonight. This is the person it's been waiting for. "Come here," you say softly, gesturing her around to the side of your stall where the music box sits. "Look at this, but don't open it yet. Just look." She leans in, examining the music box with careful attention. It's beautiful, crafted from dark wood inlaid with mother of pearl, depicting a garden scene that seems to shift slightly when you're not looking directly at it. The key is shaped like a tiny heart. It plays a song, you tell her, and that song will make you forget first love completely, as if they never existed in your heart. The memories will remain. You'll know intellectually that you dated someone, that things happened, but the emotional weight will be gone. The attachment, the longing, the replaying of moments, all of it erased. She stares at it, barely breathing. That's possible. It's possible. But you should think carefully about whether you want it. First loves shape us, even painful ones, even toxic ones. They teach us things about ourselves, about relationships, about what we will and won't accept. Erasing that emotional history means losing those lessons on a gut level. You might find yourself vulnerable to the same patterns again because you won't remember, not really, how badly it hurt the first time. But I could move on, she whispers. I could stop hurting. You could, and for you that might be worth the price. The price being, you gesture to the card and she reads it aloud. A letter of forgiveness, written but never sent. She looks up at you, confused. Forgiveness for him. Could be forgiveness for yourself, for whoever you need to forgive. The magic doesn't specify. It just requires forgiveness be articulated, acknowledged, set down. You don't have to send it. You don't have to mean it perfectly, but you have to write it honestly. She nods slowly. There's paper, a pen. You produce a small journal and a pen from beneath your cart, standard items you keep for exactly this kind of price. She sits on the edge of your platform, the journal on her knees, and begins to write. You turn away, giving her privacy. This isn't for your eyes. The writing takes a long time. You serve 2 other customers while she works, always aware of her presence, of the intensity of her focus. When she finally finishes, she tears the pages from the journal with careful deliberation and hands them to you, folded and sealed with a bit of wax someone apparently gave her. I forgave myself, she says quietly, for staying too long, for believing his promises, for thinking I could fix him. I forgave myself for all of it. That's good work, you tell her, and you mean it. You tuck the letter into your pocket. You'll burn it later, as is traditional. Send the forgiveness up in smoke as an offering to whatever powers govern these exchanges. The music box is yours. You wind the key 3 times and hand it to her. She holds it like something fragile, something sacred. Do I open it now? Whenever you're ready. It will play once, only once. After that, just a music box. But that one playing is enough. She nods, clutches it to her chest, and moves away into the market. You watch her go, settling on a bench near the accordion player. Even from here, you can see when she opens it, can see the way her face goes still and then soft, can see tears start and then stop, can see her close the box gently, set it aside, and just sit there, looking lighter somehow, unburdened. You feel the familiar complex mix of emotions that comes with these exchanges. Relief that you could help, uncertainty about whether you should have, hope that you've done more good than harm. The music box has found its person, has done its work. Now she'll live with the consequences, whatever they may be. The night continues. The market pulses with life and strangeness and all the small desperation that drives people to seek out impossible solutions to ordinary problems. You are part of that machinery now, one cog in the great mechanism that connects need to fulfillment, that offers transformation at a price. A couple approaches next, holding hands, looking nervous. They're interested in a pair of rings you have, simple silver bands that allow the wearers to feel what the other person is feeling emotionally. Perfect empathy between partners. It sounds romantic until you explain the price. Absolute honesty between them for 1 full month before the rings will work. No lies, no omissions, total transparency. Most couples don't make it through the month. You tell them honestly. The rings work when you earn them. But the price usually reveals whether you should actually be together. Some couples discover they work better with their small secrets and polite silences. Others find the honesty brings them closer. It depends on what you're building together. They look at each other, have a whispered conversation, and decide to try. You wrap the rings and hand them over with instructions. Wear them for a month. Tell each other everything. And if you're still together at the end, the empathy will activate. They leave hand in hand, looking determined and terrified in equal measure. You sell a pair of glasses that let you see through simple illusions, useful for detecting when people are lying or hiding things. But it means you can never unsee those deceptions again. You sell a book that answers one question per day with absolute accuracy, but the questions must be written in your own blood. You sell a hat that makes you invisible to authority figures, but means you can never hold authority yourself. Each item moves to its appropriate owner. Each price is paid. Each exchange shifts reality in small, irreversible ways. The hours blend together in the way they do in shadow markets, where time moves strangely, following emotional logic rather than clockwork precision. You could have been here for 3 hours or 7, and you wouldn't quite know the difference. The gaslight never changes, the music never stops, the flow of customers never quite ebbs or swells, just maintains its constant, gentle pressure. You find yourself thinking about the old merchant who taught you about her warnings and her wisdom. Every object you trade carries a piece of you with it, she told you. Your intentions, your care, your sense of balance. You're not just moving items between people. You're moving little pieces of moral weight, little fragments of consequence. Do it with attention. Do it with respect. Do it knowing that you're shaping the world in small ways with every exchange. You've tried to honor that teaching, tried to be worthy of the responsibility. Some nights you're not sure you succeed. Some nights you lie awake wondering if you've done more harm than good, wondering if there's a ledger somewhere keeping track of all the small disasters you've enabled in the name of free choice and honest exchange. But then you remember moments like tonight, like the woman with the music box, like the old man with the cards, like the teenager with the scarf. You remember the relief on their faces, the sense of possibility, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. And you think perhaps there's value in what you do, perhaps there's worth in being a facilitator of change, even complicated change, even change that carries risk. A merchant from down the platform waves to get your attention, holding up a pocket watch and pointing at it. You check your own timepiece, one of the few reliable ones in shadow markets, and see that it's nearing midnight in the ordinary world. The market will start to thin soon, as the deep night crowd replaces the evening browsers. You've got maybe 2 more hours before you'll need to decide whether to pack up or stay through until dawn. The deep night customers are different from the evening ones, more desperate, usually, more willing to pay heavier prices, more likely to want your darker items, the ones you keep wrapped in the bag. You're never entirely comfortable with the late night trading, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes the only people who can handle certain objects are the ones desperate enough to come looking at 3 in the morning. You're considering this when a figure approaches your stall that makes you sit up straighter, pay closer attention. They're wearing a long coat the color of ash, and their face is shadowed despite the gaslight. Not shadowed by a hood or a hat, just shadowed, as if darkness clings to them by preference. This is someone who's crossed over many times, someone who's comfortable in the spaces between. This is someone who knows what they're looking for. "Good evening," you say, your voice carefully neutral. "Welcome. Are you looking for something specific, or would you like to browse?" "Specific," they say, and their voice has an odd quality to it, like it's coming from slightly farther away than it should. "I'm looking for something that binds, a contract object, something that makes promises unbreakable." Your hand still on the item you are rearranging. This is a dangerous request, the kind that could go very wrong. "I might have something like that, but I'll need to know more about what you're planning before I show it to you." "Why? Isn't my money good?" There's no hostility in the question, just curiosity. "Your money is probably excellent, but I don't sell objects that facilitate harm. I need to understand the context before I enable certain kinds of magic." They consider this, then nod slightly, as if you've passed some kind of test. "Fair enough. I'm trying to bind a spirit that's been causing problems in my family's home, not banish it. It was there first, has rights to the space, but bind it to certain limitations. No harming the living, no manifesting in ways that terrify children, no interfering with electrical systems. In exchange, will maintain the house according to its preferences and acknowledge its presence respectfully." You relax slightly. This is legitimate, even ethical in its way. "I have something that might work, but the price for contract objects is always steep. You'd be paying for both parties, yourself and the spirit. The magic needs balance from both sides." "I expected as much. What are we talking about?" You reach into the deeper parts of your cart, past the front displays, into the sections where you keep objects that require more careful handling. Your fingers close around a small box made of iron and bone, bound with silver wire. Inside is a pen that writes contracts that literally cannot be broken, not by magic or force of will or any amount of regret. Once signed, the terms bind absolutely until the contract's natural expiration, or until both parties agree to dissolution. "This," you say, setting the box on your display, "it will write your contract with the spirit." Once you've both signed or marked it, spirits don't always have conventional signatures. The terms become absolute, unbreakable. Both of you will be held to every word. And the price? For you, 3 months of volunteer work helping other people with their hauntings, their spirit problems. Share what you've learned. Help others negotiate with the unseen. For the spirit, you'll need to offer something from the house's history, something that acknowledges its long presence. A photograph, a piece of original wallpaper, something that says you were here first and we honor that. They're quiet for a long moment, considering. "The volunteer work I can do. The offering for the spirit will be between me and them. That seems fair." "The work needs to be real," you press. "Not just posting advice online, actual in-person help. People are frightened and vulnerable when they're dealing with hauntings. You need to treat that with respect." "I understand." They reach for the box, and you let them take it. "How do I prove I've done the work?" "You don't. Not to me. The magic will know. If you try to use the pen without fulfilling the price, it won't write. Simple as that. They nod, turning the box over in their hands. And if the spirit won't sign, then you have a very nice pen in a very strange box, and you still owe 3 months of volunteer work. Attempting the contract counts as using the magic. The price comes due regardless. That seems harsh. It's honest. I told you up front. You're paying for the attempt, not the outcome. The magic doesn't judge success or failure, only intention and action. They laugh, a dry sound like wind through dead leaves. I appreciate your clarity. Most merchants try to hide these details until after the sale. I'm not most merchants. No, they agree. You're not. They produce a small leather pouch from their pocket and set it on your counter. It's heavier than it looks, and when you peek inside, you see not coins but something more valuable in shadow markets, true names written on slips of paper in what looks like blood. These are currency here, collected from willing trades, usable for various magical purposes. 5 true names is an excellent payment, more than fair for the contract pen. You accept the pouch with a nod of thanks. The figure pockets the box and disappears back into the market without further conversation. You watch them go, hoping the contract negotiation works, hoping the spirit is reasonable, hoping you haven't just enabled a disaster, but you've been as careful as you can be. You've charged an appropriate price, explained the terms clearly, tried to ensure the magic would be used for balance rather than subjugation. That's all you can do, really. Set up the exchange as ethically as possible, then trust that people will make the choices they're capable of making. You can't control outcomes, only offerings. You can't guarantee wisdom, only provide opportunity. Midnight passes, and the market shifts subtly. The lighting seems slightly dimmer, or perhaps more amber. Or perhaps it's just that the customers who arrive now cast longer shadows. The accordion player takes a break, and in their absence, you can hear other sounds, distant wind that shouldn't exist in this enclosed space. Whispers that might be conversations, or might be something else. The odd creak and groan of a building that burned down decades ago, settling into its ghostly evening routine. You stretch, feeling the pleasant ache of standing and sitting alternately for hours. Your back reminds you that you're not as young as you used to be, that these long market nights take their toll. But there's a satisfaction to it too. The good tiredness that comes from work well done, from exchanges facilitated with care and attention. A few more customers trickle through in the deep night hours, a person seeking a charm that will help them sleep without nightmares, willing to trade 3 happy memories they've been clinging to. They understand that lessening emotional intensity goes both ways, that you can't turn down the volume on pain without also lowering joy, but they're tired enough to find the bargain worth it. A young person looking for a map that shows safe places for people like them, paying in the form of leaving supplies at 3 different shelters over the next month. An elderly woman who wants a candle that, when lit, will allow her to speak with her dead husband one final time, trading the wedding ring she's worn for 40 years. I don't need the symbol anymore, she says. I just need to say goodbye properly. Each exchange carries its weight into the night. You wrap items carefully, explain prices clearly, watch people walk away carrying small pieces of impossibility that will change their lives in ways they can't fully predict. It's sobering work, intimate work, the kind that leaves you feeling exposed and tender even as you maintain your professional distance. Around 2 in the morning, by your pocket watch, you notice the flower merchant closing up their stall. They catch your eye and wave, mouthing, heading out, across the space between you. You wave back, watching as they pack their blooms carefully into baskets that fold down impossibly small. One by one, other merchants begin packing up. The deep night crowd is thinning, and those who are staying until dawn are settling into that strange vigil, that commitment to being present in the darkest hours. You make your decision. You'll pack up as well. You've had a good night, made enough exchanges to feel satisfied, and you're tired in the pleasant way that suggests rest would be welcome. Besides, you have a journey ahead of you still. The next shadow market you're planning to visit is 3 days' walk away in the ordinary world, though you can make it faster by using certain pathways that most people don't know exist. You begin the process of packing up, reversing the careful arrangement you made hours ago. Each item gets wrapped in its protective cloth, returned to its specific spot in the cart. The items that you didn't sell tonight: several books, a mirror, a compass, a set of playing cards, you examine briefly before putting away. Sometimes items don't sell because they haven't found their person yet. Sometimes they don't sell because you've priced them wrong, or displayed them poorly, or simply because the night didn't bring the right customers. The music box is gone, traded away. So are the keys, the scarf, the contract pen, the pocket watch, the compass, several smaller items. You've accepted payment in coin, in true names, in letters and promises and commitments to action. Your pockets hold the physical payments, while the intangible ones rest as small weights on your conscience, truths you witnessed, vulnerabilities people shared, the price they paid in opening themselves up. As you pack, the tea merchant from across the way comes over with 2 steaming cups. "You look like you could use this," they say, handing you one. It's their specialty blend, the one that doesn't grant any magical effects, just tastes like comfort and warmth. "Thank you," you say gratefully, accepting the cup. The heat feels good in your hands, and the first sip is perfect, slightly sweet, slightly spicy, exactly what you needed. "Good night?" they ask, leaning against your car companionably. "Good enough." Move the music box finally. That old thing, you've been carrying that for what, a year? Near enough. It found its person tonight though. Young woman trying to get free of a bad relationship. The tea merchant nods knowingly. Those are always hard exchanges. You wonder if you're helping or just letting them avoid necessary grief. Every time, you admit, every single time. But I explained the costs, laid it all out clearly. She made her choice with open eyes. That's all we can do, isn't it? Be honest about what we're offering. Trust people to know what they need. You talk quietly for a few more minutes, sharing information about customers to watch out for, upcoming markets, rumors of new merchants entering the circuits. It's pleasant, this collegial intimacy, this sense of being part of a community, even as you all maintain your independence. The tea merchant finishes their cup, collects yours, and returns to their own packing with a friendly nod. You're nearly finished putting everything away when a final customer approaches. They're young, probably no more than 20, and they look absolutely exhausted. Not physically tired, but soul weary, carrying the kind of weight that doesn't show on the body, but bends everything nonetheless. "Are you closed?" They ask hesitantly. You should say yes. You're packed up, ready to go. But something in their face stops you. What are you looking for? I don't know exactly. I have this feeling that there's something here I need. Something that will help. I've been to 4 other markets this week, and I keep getting sent here. To you, specifically. That catches your attention. Being sent to a specific merchant by other merchants is rare. Suggests that the item network, that strange system of recognition and connection between objects and people, has identified something specific. Tell me what's going on, you say, setting down the canvas you're about to pull over the cart. They hesitate, then the words tumble out. I'm stuck. In my life, in my head, in this loop. Every day is the same. I wake up, I go through the motions, I accomplish nothing, I feel nothing. I'm not depressed, exactly. I'm just absent. Like I'm waiting for permission to actually live, but I don't know what I'm waiting for or who's supposed to grant it. And I'm so tired of waiting. I want to feel like a real person again. I want to want things. I want to care about something, anything. You listen carefully, and as they speak, your hand drifts almost automatically to a specific item in your cart. It's wrapped in grey silk, and you've been carrying it for months without quite knowing why. It's never called to you before, never suggested it had a person waiting. But now, listening to this young person's words, you feel the recognition, that click of understanding. You unwrap it carefully and hold it up. It's a small hourglass, delicate glass containing sand that shifts between silver and gold. This is a decision hourglass, you tell them. You turn it over whenever you have a choice to make, any choice, no matter how small. While the sand falls, it takes exactly 3 minutes. You must commit fully to making that decision. No deferring, no later, no, I'll think about it. By the time the sand runs out, you must choose. And that will help? They sound skeptical but hopeful. You're stuck because you've stopped choosing. You're waiting for perfect information, perfect circumstances, perfect permission. This forces you to choose imperfectly, immediately, constantly. Breakfast or no breakfast, this shirt or that one, call that person or don't, apply for that job or don't, turn left or right. Every choice made is you living, you participating, you being present. That sounds exhausting. It is at first, but it also pulls you back into your life. You can't wait passively while sand is falling. You have to engage, have to commit, have to be present. Most people find that after a few weeks, they've built enough momentum that they don't need the hourglass anymore. They've remembered how to choose, how to live actively rather than passively. They reach for it tentatively. What's the price? You check the card you'd written for this item months ago, somehow knowing even then what it would cost. 1 week of yes. For 7 days, you say yes to every safe invitation, every opportunity that won't harm you or others. Someone asks if you want to get coffee, yes. Invitation to a party, yes. Opportunity to try something new, yes. 7 days of forcing yourself out of passivity. And after that, the hourglass works. After that, you'll probably find you don't need it as much as you thought. The week of yes usually starts breaking through the stuck feeling. But yes, after that, the hourglass will work whenever you need it. They turn the hourglass over in their hands, watching the sand shift and shimmer. This is what I need, they say quietly. I don't know how I know, but I know. Trust that feeling. It brought you to 4 markets, brought you to me specifically, right as I was closing. That's not accident, that's recognition. Okay, yes, I'll take it. I'll do the week. You wrap it back up carefully and hand it over. They reach into their bag and pull out a handful of coins, ordinary money, but that's fine. Not everything needs to be paid in magic or promises. Sometimes currency is just currency. They leave clutching the package, and you watch them go with that familiar mix of hope and uncertainty. Will the hourglass help them? Will the week of yes break through their paralysis or just exhaust them further? You don't know, can't know, but you are honest about what you are offering, clear about the price. The rest is up to them. Now you really are done. You pull the canvas over your cart, securing it tightly. The market is nearly empty now. Just a few hardy souls maintaining their vigils, a couple of customers wandering through the dwindling stalls. The gas lamps seem dimmer, or perhaps it's just that the space is preparing for dawn, for the dissolution that comes when the ordinary world wakes fully and the shadows lose their depth. You grasp your cart's handle and begin pushing it toward the station's main entrance, or what serves as an entrance in this impossible space. Other merchants are leaving too, stepping through mirrors, through doorways, dissolving into shadows. You're headed for a different exit, one that leads to a road that exists only at night, a road that will carry you toward your next destination. The tea merchant catches up with you as you're preparing to leave. Safe travels, they say warmly. I'll probably see you at the Crossroads Market in a few weeks. Probably. I'm planning to loop through the Northern Circuit. You. Southern for me, but we'll cross paths again. We always do. You exchange brief hugs, the kind of affection that's possible between people who understand each other's work, who respect the weight of what each other carries. Then they're stepping through their doorway, and you're turning toward your exit. The way out is through a door marked Lost and Found that definitely wasn't part of the original train station. You push your cart through it and find yourself in a corridor that can't possibly exist. Walls made of twilight and old songs, the floor a path of starlight and shadow. This is one of the between roads, the paths that connect shadow markets to each other and to the places where the veil grows thin enough to cross. You walk this corridor for what might be minutes or hours, time being flexible here, until you emerge onto a stretch of road that looks almost normal. Almost. The trees are slightly too perfect, the moon hangs at an angle that doesn't quite make sense, and the road itself seems to glow faintly, as if lit from beneath. This is a night road, one of those paths that exist only in darkness, that vanish with true dawn. You begin walking, pushing your cart ahead of you. The wheels make that familiar rattling rhythm, a sound that's become as much a part of you as your own heartbeat. The night air is cool and pleasant, carrying scents that shift and change: pine forest, ocean salt, wood smoke, roses, rain. The between spaces mix sense memories the way a dream does, and you've learned to find it comforting rather than disorienting. As you walk, you let your mind settle, processing the night's exchanges. The old man with the cards, the teenager with the scarf, the woman with the music box, the shadowed figure with the contract pen, all the others. Each one a small story, a small transformation, a small redistribution of possibility in the world. Some of those transformations will be positive, some negative, most will be mixed and complicated. You've done your best to set them up ethically, to charge appropriate prices, to be honest about consequences. That's all anyone can do, really. Try to be honest, try to be fair, try to minimize harm while acknowledging that transformation always carries risk. You're not a hero saving people from their problems. You're not a villain exploiting people's desperation. You're something in between, something more complicated. A facilitator, a bridge, a merchant of possibility who deals in the currencies of consequence and change. The road stretches ahead of you, luminous and strange. Somewhere in the distance, dawn is approaching in the ordinary world, but here in the between spaces, night can last as long as it needs to. You'll walk until you reach the next threshold, the next crossing point, and then you'll step back into the daylight world for a while. Maybe you'll rest, find a small inn or boarding house, sleep in an actual bed for a few hours. Or maybe you'll just find a quiet spot and make camp, letting the ordinary day pass around you while you prepare for the next night, the next market. You've been doing this long enough that the line between your life and your work has blurred almost to invisibility. You are the traveling merchant, the cart, the items, the endless circuit of markets. This is who you are now. You remember sometimes the person you were before you started this path, but that feels like a different life, a different person entirely. You can barely recall what drove you to your first shadow market, what need or desperation or curiosity brought you across that initial threshold. What matters is what you've become, what you've chosen to be. And you've chosen this, to be honest in places where honesty is rare, to be careful with people's vulnerabilities, to facilitate transformation without exploitation, to walk the line between helping and enabling with as much grace and attention as you can muster. The sky above begins to shift, dark blue fading toward a grey that suggests morning. The night road is beginning to fade, which means you're approaching an exit point. You can feel it, that sense of the path preparing to return you to ordinary reality. You push your cart a little faster, wanting to reach the threshold before full dissolution. And there it is, a split in the trees, a gap that leads to what looks like a normal forest path. You push through, and the world shifts around you, the impossible qualities fading into simple morning woodland. The trees are just trees now, the path is just dirt and moss, and when you look back, the night road has vanished entirely. You're in the ordinary world again, somewhere in a forest that could be anywhere. You check your compass, the personal one, not the one for sale, and get your bearings. You're about 30 miles from the next town, which has a crossing point to another shadow market 3 nights from now. You can make it there easily with time to rest and resupply. Your cart needs a new wheel cover, and you're running low on wrapping cloth. Ordinary errands to attend to in between the extraordinary work. You find a spot off the path where you can make camp, a small clearing with a stream nearby. You pull out your bedroll and a small collapsible kettle, gathering wood for a fire. The motions are automatic, soothing. You've made camp in 1,000 clearings like this one, prepared 1,000 simple meals, watched 1,000 dawns break over temporary homes. As the kettle heats, you pull out your journal and begin writing. You keep records of your exchanges, not for any official purpose, but for yourself. Which items went to whom, what prices were paid, what your instincts tell you about how it will turn out. You don't write names. Customers in shadow markets often don't give them, but you write descriptions, context, the feeling of each exchange. Music box, you write. Young woman, late 20s, office clothes, heartbreak over toxic relationship, paid in self-forgiveness, instinct, good exchange, right timing, hope that she uses this clean slate to build healthier patterns, concern that she doesn't learn why she accepted toxicity in the first place. Overall, cautiously optimistic. You continue through the night's exchanges, recording each one, processing your feelings about them. This journaling is part of how you maintain your balance, how you keep yourself honest. Writing it down makes you confront your doubts, your hopes, your ethical uncertainty. It keeps you from becoming complacent, from falling into the trap of thinking you have it all figured out. The sun continues to rise, painting the forest in shades of gold and green. Birds begin their morning songs. The ordinary world wakes up around you, beautiful and simple and uncomplicated by magic or moral ambiguity. You sip your tea and watch the light change, feeling the pleasant exhaustion of a night well worked. In a few hours, you'll pack up and start walking toward the next town. You'll resupply, maybe trade some of your more ordinary items for cash or supplies. You'll eat a hot meal at an inn, sleep in a real bed. You'll present as a normal traveling merchant, selling curiosities and odds and ends. And no one will suspect that at night you cross into impossible spaces to trade in transformation and consequence. But for now, you just sit. You watch the morning, drink your tea, feel the weight of your choices and exchanges settling into your bones alongside the satisfaction of work done with care. You are tired and content, troubled and peaceful, certain and uncertain, all at once. You are the shadow market merchant, walking your endless circuit, carrying your impossible wares, facilitating the small transformations that ripple out into the world in ways you'll never fully see or understand. It's not a simple life, not a comfortable one, but it's yours. You've chosen it. Every day you've chosen it, and you'll choose it again tonight and tomorrow night and the night after that, because someone has to do this work. Someone has to stand in the spaces between, offering honest exchanges in places where exploitation would be easy. Someone has to price transformation fairly, to charge enough that people understand the gravity of what they're receiving, but not so much that it becomes predatory. Someone has to care about the details, about the ethics, about the small human lives being changed by these impossible objects. That someone is you, has been you, will be you for as long as you can carry the weight. The tea in your cup is cooling, the fire is burning low, the morning is well and truly here. You finish your journal entry, close the book, and tuck it back into your pack. Then you lie back on your bedroll, looking up at the sky through the canopy of leaves, and let yourself rest. You dream, as you often do, of roads and markets and exchanges, of music boxes and keys and hourglasses, of all the people you've met, all the transformations you've facilitated, all the small ripples you've sent out into the world. In your dreams, you can see the outcomes, can follow each thread to its conclusion. Some are beautiful, some are tragic, most are mixed and complicated. When you wake, the sun is high. You've slept for several hours, deep and dreamless. For the last part of it, you feel refreshed, ready to continue. You pack up your camp methodically, making sure to leave no trace beyond the bare circle where your fire burned. The forest should stay as pristine as you found it. That's important. That basic respect for spaces you borrow. Your cart is waiting where you left it, faithful and impossible. You pat its side affectionately As you begin pushing it back toward the path, the wheels rattle their familiar rhythm. The items inside shift and settle, each in its place, waiting for the next market, the next customer, the next exchange. You walk, and the day passes pleasantly around you. The forest gives way to meadows, then to farmland, then to the outskirts of a small town. You enter as the afternoon is fading toward evening, just another traveler with a cart. Nothing remarkable, nothing strange, but you know, and the cart knows, and somewhere in the spaces between, the shadow markets know. Tonight you'll rest, tomorrow you'll resupply, and in 3 days, when the moon is right and the shadows are deep, you'll cross over again. You'll set up your stall in whatever impossible place manifests. You'll arrange your wares with care and attention. You'll wait for the customers who need what you have, and you'll facilitate those exchanges, those small transformations, those complicated transactions between desire and consequence. You'll do it honestly, carefully, with as much wisdom as you can muster. You'll carry the weight of what you enable, the responsibility of what you offer, because this is who you are, this is what you've chosen, and every day, every night, every exchange, you choose it again. The shadow market merchant, walking your eternal circuit, carrying possibility and consequence in equal measure, forever dwelling in the spaces between curse and blessing, harm and help, who you are and who you could become. And so, dark heart, we leave our merchant here, walking their endless path, carrying their impossible cart, forever balancing on that delicate line between helping and enabling, between honest exchange and exploitation. They'll continue their circuit, market after market, exchange after exchange, trying to do good work in complicated spaces. Remember their care, their attention, their refusal to take the easy path of either pure judgment or pure permissiveness. Remember that transformation always carries cost, that change is never simple, that magic, real magic, is always about balance, consequence, intention. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows, if you found rest in this story of the morally grey, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me create more stories for those of us who find comfort in complexity, who understand that not everything is simple, who know that sometimes the most honest people are the ones who admit that life exists in shades of grey. Rest well, dark heart. You're safe here. You're understood here. And tomorrow, when you wake, remember, every choice is transformation, every price is opportunity, and you're always, always allowed to change. Until next time, safe travels through your own shadow markets.